Welcome to another episode of Catalyzing Radical Systemic Change, where in my own language, it's all about discovering, mapping, and cross pollinating the various building blocks towards a planetary civilization ahead. So, today I'm going to frame the podcast slightly differently because it's been a long dream of mine to have an interview with somebody that sets up a bank. Why do I think that's an interesting topic? I think it's an interesting topic because a lot of what we conceive as infrastructure is invisible to most of us out there. Like, how does a bank work? How is it even possible to set up a bank? What are different banks? This obviously will touch upon like many things from cultural change to systemic change. I know we will also talk about personal development. And like always in the podcast, we will talk about the pivotal moments of my distinguished guest today. So maybe just slightly a tiny bit more for the context of the podcast, because truth be told, Sahin, you're like almost famous, or people know you. You're a well-known figure. I had no idea who you were. So when I heard your wife speaking at a panel during South by Southwest in Austin, I just thought, hey, that's a cool lady. I never had a female entrepreneur cum investor on my podcast. And then we were getting to know each other and preparing the podcast. And then I don't know when we did like 2 or 3 sessions preparing the podcast. She said, I think you should meet my husband. And I'm like, well, who is your husband? And then she gave me the link and I'm like, okay, this seems to be a pretty well-known figure in the Valley. So anyhow, having said all of that, starting the podcast before we dive into, let's say, the different sections that we have prepared together, I'm really curious, Sahin, what made you the human being that you are? And I don't mind if that takes 5 minutes or 10 minutes, because you have a really unusual biography and some striking similarities as well to my biography. So the floor is yours. I don't mind where you start, but I'm really curious what shaped the human being at the core of who you are.
Yeah, thank you so much. I thank you for having me. I have so many podcasts in my life, but I think I am excited on this one, and I think it's a really good idea that we think to do bigger change in the world versus just an app or just a service, right? I think smart people around the world, they all have their, I don't know, good company, big company, but is it really changing the humanity? Is it making us intergalactical race, or is it really jump for like make it everything 10x better? I don't think so, and I think we should all think about that. So I think what makes me, it's very interesting. I always think others, and it's not a joke. Like in everything I do, my happiness comes when I see a person happy. So in my life, like when I build a product, when people use it, I am happy. Okay, let's say I don't cook, but if I cook and if the person is happy, I become happy, right? So I have this, I believe, a high empathy in me, that I just want to make people's life easier. And this was like, even I was like 5 years old, 6 years old, my whole operating system was that. And the other thing that I hate is, like, you're gonna sound so weird, but I want most of the things in life centralized and standardized, meaning that I never understand why we have so many languages. Like water should be water everywhere in the world. Like whatever the language we pick, is it the Aramaic? Is it the Sanskrit? Is it the frequency language from stars? I don't know which language, but like most common 1,000 words in the world should be same, right? Or you go to Britain or US or Europe, everyone is a different plug. Like since I'm a child, I always like to bring things together and create a more like a standardization, again, to make people's life easier. Like example, like I get annoyed when I go to bank and I put my PIN number and I need to do enter. I said, why the hell I'm doing enter? I just, so it 4 pin numbers. Just if the password is correct, just log me in, right? I have this 3 things, which is like making people happy and making things easier and build products to do that is my 3, I think, fundamental operating system. And because of that, I was constantly thinking, what is the easiest way to build something, right? And I find that very early on, computer software is one of that thing. Like, I wish I designed bacteria and living creatures, but I think that is like 5,000 years ahead. I end up building software, right? So,
Let
and in
me
software,
touch on
yeah,
upon a couple of things, because
yeah,
I don't know why, but we had such a funky long encounter preparing the podcast. You were mentioning an intergalactic civilization. So
yes,
let's stay in the pivotal moments of your biography, and I will frame the question. So I've been a bookworm, both fiction and nonfiction, since early
okay,
childhood. So
yes,
for me, it was a commonplace that we as humanity will populate the stars, the Milky Way, and far
yes,
beyond.
yeah,
In
Stargate
my
movie,
theory
yeah,
of
yeah,
change, though, I would say, well, bro, that's a high ambition. I think we will totally go there, but let's first make sure that the mother organism that we inhabit, call it Gaia, planet Earth, doesn't really matter. We
yeah,
don't
yeah.
need to get too esoteric. We know how to steward, let's say, our homeland. And things writ large, we have not been so good at it so far. So one of these things that I'm really curious is, how do you bind together, in you being a prolific entrepreneur, a prolific investor, and now building a bank, right? The very macro to the meso to the micro. And how is that shaped by some of your, yeah, maybe childhood, adolescence, and entrepreneurial moments?
Yeah, so for me, first, I think the framework, it's very easy. When you hear a theory about humans, I always put it in my heart. Do I feel good about this? Is it motivating me or not? So let me give you 2 theories. We either, let's say we come from a civilization from another planet in an amazing cool spaceship in this earth and grow here, or we come from randomness and nothing from monkeys that touch their finger to other monkeys butt as their fun thing, versus we are alien or a god mirror with superpowers living in this world, right? From these 3, pick your animal, okay? So for me,
Well, did you pick one?
I believe everything 50%, but I believe deeply in my heart we are not from here. I don't think, and when you look at the planet, it's not compatible for us. Like, every animal here can burn and just live instantly. We need like 18 years. Of course, now the civilization is a horrible situation, but in the old days, when you are 12 years old, you can get married, you can have children, you know 7 languages, you have 3, 4 arts, you have the math and everything. But still, it needs 10 years for us to survive, even in a like civilized like homes and like cities, like put us in, like one of my favorite shows, Naked and Afraid. Just watch Naked and Afraid show. It's nearly impossible to live in the nature, right? Like, we need to build all these tools, and like it's pretty hostile planet for us if you think about it. So uh, and the other thing that I also think, I think nature and intelligent design and the creature harmonically in a balanced way create each other. Let's say we are grown in this world. It can be DNA change of an alien or a monkey, whatever that idea is, right? So I really believe in my heart that petroleum based chemical drugs based on subscription medicine with thousands of side effects versus nature already have all the answers, right? So I was in a, and even let's say placebo is real, which is real, you believe that petroleum plastic, they spent $2 billion to come up with something that they don't even know the reason of why that exists. Or you go to actually in a Turkish herbal shop, and then the guy had this pretty crazy. They have a fish head bone, and he says you put it on a lemon and it melts it and you drink it, and it's great for kidney, and it also exists in Chinese medicine. So I believe the bacteria, the nature, is we need to live in a harmonic way. And I think you just take any plant, and when you look at the package molecule structure of the thousands of things living there, I think we can build superior products on everything we want. But somehow we turn into this easy to manipulate, easy to believe in random stuff that we don't have the solution. Nature doesn't have the solution. One company can give you solution idea with too much marketing brainwashing, that I definitely believe we lost touch in uh, nature. Example, like we don't see stars anymore. How you can think that there is something bigger than us? How you can get inspired if the whole sky is black, right? Because of the light. Like in my opinion, this should be purely illegal. And they said, okay, if you want a light, if you want to have a light, figure out a system that gives you the light without the light going up. So create a system that you can push the light down, not to up, or create a natural way of doing it. So when we look at the stars, we get more inspiration. Because I remember climbing, I think 3,000 meters, like 9,000 feet in a mountain, and the stars are so beautiful. Like you get so much inspiration. Then you look at it, I want to go there. It's very simple, but so this is like one thing. Or the shoes we wear, right? Like they prove thousands of time, and you can even feel it when you touch the soil, you touch the ground, you get energy, you give energy, it gives you the things you need, right? But we end up building again petroleum based plastic shoes that create so many small health issues. So we totally got lost on living harmony with the nature. So we should design all of our cities based on nature in a way that I believe if we improve that, we can create better products and start to go to get more inspirations and really build the infrastructure to go to other planets, I think, where we come from.
Then let me just pick a couple of examples, and then I'm curious where this will go. I'm preparing really to an unusual and funky podcast. So, harmony with nature, and the example that nature-based medicines may, in most cases, I wouldn't say in all, provide better solutions than like separate petroleum-based chemicals that have a lot of side effects. Was this something that dawned on you, I don't know, as a child, as an adolescent, or did this come later? So I'm trying to bind the now version of Sahin into what versions existed prior, because ultimately you chose to become a very successful serial exited entrepreneur and now are a very successful investor. So did that when did that dawn on you that you want to basically use the core of who you are, a creative force, right, and do things differently?
So from the health related stuff, when I was growing up, I was born in US. And then I come to Turkey, okay? Because my mother and my father was Turkish. And my father was going to MIT, finish his school, worked in NASA, like lots of cool companies, and come back to Turkey. And this will sound crazy, but I spent enough time to figure out is this is real. I was the only kid in my whole school with allergies. We had 500 kids, in my school, and it's a middle class. I wasn't rich, I wasn't poor, I was middle class. And I was the only kid with allergies. It's crazy. And there was one more kid coming from England. He has the same allergies like me. Okay. And then we had an exam in Turkey that 1.5 million people has to take. And based on your ranking, you select the university you want to go. And for me, if I go to a government building, I just get allergy. Like it's impossible for me to prepare for that exam and get it. So my poor dad and mom spent insane amount of time taking me the best doctors in Turkey and Europe to figure out my allergies. And it was shocking to me that we went to probably 10 to 20, maybe 30 doctors, and they have no idea. And they say, what is happening? We don't know. Okay, but this, and I was asked this question, like, if you don't know the reason, how you make the solution? Isn't it against the science? And and then, okay, it's gonna fix me? He says, we don't know. Okay, is this spray and pray? Should I pray? Like how, and what is the percentage that the people you give, I realize, and then I had businesses with the doctors and stuff, I realized most of the doctors I met in life are extremely dogmatic, zero mathematical people. They don't track any, like, think about in companies, we track every simple KPI. Like you take your car example to get to a mechanic and he's telling you that we don't know why this happened and I don't know I will fix it or not. Then okay, should I pray? Like what the hell is answer? And then I remember they were giving me like it was like a phone but two times bigger, and there was like hundreds of needles and they were putting back of you, and then they just needled the shit out of me and it didn't even solve it. And then one day, I was in a bookshop. I saw a book on the bottom shelf, and then I take it, and it was Chinese medicine. And I just opened it. Nature, like whatever you call it, the karma, the fate plan, always gives you the answer you're looking for. And I read a book, and they had like talking about acupuncture, the energies, and I had interest on that. I like Star Wars. I read parapsychology, like a lot of cool things. And then I started to go to acupuncture, and in acupuncture, and she wasn't even an expert at that time. She just got her license doing it. But I went there. I was like 15, and she was super gorgeous woman, super hot. Okay, I'm getting treatment from this lady, and she fixed me in 3 weeks. And then I go to the one of the best doctor. We spend thousands of dollars, and say, look at me, like, look, I'm doing the perfume, cigarettes doesn't affect me anymore. I'm totally healed. She said, yeah, I heard acupuncture can heal it. Like, why you make us spend like 20, 30, $50,000 and vaccinate the hell out of me that it doesn't even have to work, and you have a solution that you can, and you didn't share. It's like after that, I lost the belief of the whole medical industry for me.
Okay, let's stay there, and then I want to segue. I have a very, very similar episode when I was starting to date women. So I would say maybe age 15, and I always had herpes, like very, very frequently. These infections
Yeah,
on the lips, and I
that's it.
felt very ashamed because I felt I can't kiss a woman. And
Yeah.
nobody could tell me anything about it. And then my mom, and I literally just went once to a very well renowned homeopathist,
But
and
that's
he gave
all. That's
this
all.
tiny globally. And
Yeah.
then for 4 to 5 years, I did not ever have herpes again. So let us all tie that together. So what I genuinely find very interesting, that, let's say, when I look at your website, I think you're invested in more than 200 companies and you're building a bank. I'm trying to tie that all together because you seem like very open, charismatic, funky, mystical, but at the same time, you've found out something that you can like rinse and repeat. You know how to build companies. Do you mind sharing, as a segue into your entrepreneurial life, not all, but some of the examples of companies that you either founded, co-founded, or invested into, and why they ultimately, with all the many hundreds of thousands of competitors out there, became a success. And trying to find, like, what's your secret sauce in all of that, right? Before we then dive more into
Yeah.
the bank endeavor.
Yeah, I think I always have a belief example when we're talking about the acupuncture versus the medical industry. I just don't believe the mess. I just don't accept the current way of doing things in my heart. So I always trying to hack, I always trying to find a simple, better solution. So my mind, like example in my first company, I was just trying to buy a phone, secondhand phone, and it didn't exist. And this was 99. I said, like, why I cannot just search internet and find a phone, right? And then people are saying, like, who, what is internet? Like, what is online store, right? And it's very clear to me at that time this thing will be big and people can buy phones online. Like, you don't need to see the phone. And then I built one of the first e-commerce website, and then I was very into health, building a lot of website. I realized we don't have a lot of healthy OTC products in Turkey. I said, let me bring them, right? So I think, like, as a founder, when you just don't accept the current way of things working, and you have a mind that you believe you can make a dent, you can make a difference. And the funny thing is, when you look at my background, I think this is more crazy. I never did anything which I have expertise of, like zero. Like, I never built an e-commerce website. I never built a fintech before. I never built a bank before. I had a mobile phone company. I never built a mobile phone. I come to Silicon Valley, and you met with my wife Dana. We started a social network around upcoming movies. She told me, "Have you ever been to Hollywood?" I said, "No, but I will go one day." Like, and what, you're gonna solve movie marketing problem? I said, "Yeah, why not?" Like,
Let's
so
stay. Let's
let's
stay
just do
there,
it.
because what I find generally interesting, both with your wife as well as with yourself, you're almost the antidote. I mean, the usual thing would be you go to an Ivy League school, you study whatever, machine learning, AI starts, and you start building one AI company, a second, a third, and a fourth one, or you're a chemical engineer, you work for Dow Chemical, then you start working like with physical AI. So I'm trying to understand, given all the odds, why do you think you have been so successful?
Because uh, I just learn so fast and just build it. That's all. Like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I am more in, there's a famous guy, Rick Rubin. I'm on his boat. Like, I don't do market research. I don't talk with customers. I just look at it. Okay, this is my problem. And if this happens to me, all the other people should have the same problem. How you communicating is different. How you find product market fit, all these things are, of course, so different. But I just can learn things so fast, and I enjoy learning it, because when you know too much about that industry, either you get scared of the complexity, or either you find a different niche and then you can build it. But I was never lucky enough to build something that I know of. I just go there. I want to build an agriculture company. I want to build an AI company. I want to build a social network. I want to build an augmented reality deep tech app. Of course, there is some common elements, like it's a website, it's a mobile app, it's a software, it's a product. There's a UI, there's UX, there's design. Like, these things exist, but as industries, I had zero idea. And because I had, I think, no idea, it feels it's easy to build it. And
Then I'm still in this. I'm trying to
yeah,
complete
let's
my
go
picture
deeper.
and
Yeah,
those of the listeners. you're really very unique that you have founded, co-founded, and invested, but taking a very core position in driving the development in companies. In how many companies in total? 10, 15, 25?
I did 4 companies in Turkey, 4 companies in US publicly. This is my fifth company publicly, but I also co-founded 7 companies on the side that wasn't public. Some of them failed, some of them still goes. Yeah, so I
And
had
wait,
17 companies in life. It's pretty crazy.
17. Okay.
17.
What's the common thread besides quote unquote just curiosity and not wanting to accept how the status quo is working?
If you look at it, like I co-founded a company to grow better strawberries with AI. Like that is no common thread with remote team. It's like I think maybe the common thread is this. I can really look at something and can see that in 2 to 3 years this thing can be big. Example, like since AI started, I was investing in memory companies, hard drive companies, and energy companies. Now it's like this a situational awareness kind of guy. Like all of them grow, like some of them grow 25, 40x, because I was driving Tesla in Silicon Valley. And I said, man, if this guy can build this car for $50,000 right now, and don't get me wrong, like Germans gives us most horrible cars as UX and UI, and made us drive that horrible cars for many, many years. And this guy come out of nowhere. And my approach is always this, like, it's so crazy to me that no car had a HEPA filter, so you get all the exhausts, and they prove that all the exhausts and car exhausts just really lower your IQ. But Elon Musk, one day he was driving from I-5, which is connecting San Francisco to LA, and there's a place that there's a lot of cows, so it smells horrible. And he was passing that area, and he calls this team like, why the car smells so bad? Like, why we don't have a filter? Because he's a product guy. Like, I think the common thread is when you are a product person and build something for yourself, you're going to be more successful than the general manager of BMW or Mercedes and other companies. Because these guys have no idea, in my opinion, of their product. They look at the company as a business on a balance sheet. What is our profit loss? Where are we going? But as a customer, as a product, I am so curious how many feedback BMW CEO sit down on a car, and how he can think that, I have my phone, why the car door is not opening when I'm getting close to the car? Because he's not a product guy, he's a business guy. So I think when you are a product guy, when you use your product, when you can give feedback to your product, that is why I think the technocrats are ruling the world right now. Because like we are the product people, we are using it, and we are always unhappy with where the product is, and constantly improve, and then you can sort of see the future where the things are going. And then when you do that, you can say, oh my God, I can just take this. If I do this correctly, if I can raise money, if I can do the product, this can be a huge thing. Example, I am so tired of eating bad food in US. And then I had a friend doing hydroponic farming. I said, okay, can we grow more strawberries in a cheaper way with more vitamin C in it? Okay, what makes the strawberry vitamin C? I put all the scientific papers, ask in a large language model. It will give you the thing, create that mixture, grow the strawberry there, and then perfect. You have the perfect strawberry, right? And then, okay, can we scale this and let's build it less than $200,000? I think if you have a mind that, like, you look at from the first principles and you look at from the product, and I can build this, and I have also knowledge to build this or learn to build it really fast, and then you can now, because you do it enough in your life, you can sort of feel that, okay, if this trend is going good, you can do a disruption on that or become part of that trend. So example, in my last company, remote team, like the world is going to remote before COVID, right? The world is like people are doing because of Zoom, because of Riverside, we don't need to be together anymore, because of 5G, there is like fast internet everywhere. Like example, in Costa Rica, like they never had landlines, now they move to 5G, now they move to Starlink, right? Starlink is a magical product that you have internet even in the middle of the sea. So that accessibility of fast internet, apps, Zoom, Slack, all async communication, and then you realize, okay, why the hell I am hiring someone for $300,000 in Silicon Valley, where I can find three amazing guys from South America or Middle East or Europe or other countries, right? And then that movement already started it, and then we had playbooks and how to do it, how to communicate, and all the stuff. And I built a company around it because I was doing remote team, and then COVID hit, and sometimes things happen in the way you can't control, and then we grow so fast, right? With right time, right product, right environment. But I was always trying
I've
to do.
I've never gone into the intestines of remote team. Let's stay there. And you mentioned it's your last company prior to now setting up the bank.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's the secret sauce of remote team? Because I've always ever only worked remote, special guy, because I've always done but B2B
Yeah.
sales, and it was on the phone. And then whenever Zoom showed up, we started. And then obviously COVID was also for me, like, okay, I can work anywhere. I went traveling. Actually, during COVID, I was traveling more than ever in my life. I had a very good time,
I
right? And I was
tell
working remotely. So not a COVID denier at all, at least not in the classical sense, but separate rabbit hole that don't
yeah,
want to
yeah,
touch
yeah.
in that podcast. So what's the secret sauce of remote team?
Yeah, again, like I never liked to go to office in my life, and I never had a full like my company's head offices, but I was all the CTO for first seven of my companies. I seriously rarely go to the office. I hate the office environment, and the reason is I was look, okay, I'm waking up at 7, and I am already like couldn't sleep like because I work to the 3 o'clock, and then I go to 7. I wake up, I do a horrible breakfast, go to 1 hour drive off, like cortisol, war, the buses, the minibus, like all the crazy transportation. You go to office, and your brain just need a relax. So then you don't work until 10 a.m. In my opinion, your brain just doesn't. You need to relax, and then 10 to 12 you work little bit, and now I am in this fancy company right now, let's go eat because I didn't eat in the morning, let's go eat some food, and then you just eat like crazy, and then you are sleepy until 1:30, and from 1:30 to 4 you try to work a little bit with coffee, and at 4 o'clock you hated your life. Okay, like let's go, what we gonna do, right? But then I'm a software engineer, I'm a nerd. Like for me, I just want to in my pajamas, code all day, right? I don't want to go to people. I don't want to see all this craziness. I don't want to see the cars. And I lived in a city like Istanbul and San Francisco. It's like horrible to travel. It's like 1 hour, like bumper to bumper traffic. And I was like, why the hell I am doing this? Like to see my employee, like to just be a boss on top of it versus like this is the product, this is the spec, this is what we need to build, this is the time you need to build. And I think I always hate to go to office. I really think office is the prison of mind, because think about what is a prison. They pay you. You are in a thing like. And I remember I was working in my first real job at Gusto, and I want to go to a dentist, and I said, look, I need to take 3 4 days off. They didn't let me. It's crazy. I said, oh my god, I need to get a permission to go to a dentist. Like what the hell? Because I was always doing my own job in life. I was always the founder and the C level. So I never like ask anyone to do. But the first time when they acquired my company, I was like an employee. Of course, they get acquired, you get the shares, blah blah blah. But on top of the M&A, you are become an employee in that company, and then you have a boss that you need to ask permission to go
Very,
somewhere.
very interesting. Let's stay there. So, because I like the things, where I don't know where I will get an answer. So in that situation, so you build a successful company, numbers are big, finally, an exit and M&A, and you become employed, and then they don't leave you to a dentist. What did you do, and
I
what
fucking go.
ramifications did?
I didn't
Huh?
listen. I didn't listen. I just go.
Okay, you simply
Of
did
course,
go.
yeah, of course, yeah. But I delayed it. Like I get their point, because you are not the person who is making the decision, and there's deadlines. Can you delay it? Yeah, I can delay it. But in my opinion, building, and this is one of the biggest reason I'm building the bank and helping companies to grow, is I believe the more entrepreneurs enter the system, and I believe there will be 10 to 20 million new people becoming entrepreneurs, like you gonna be more free because you can work anywhere you want, you can have your own time. I think remote work was flexibility of location. Now with AI, we're gonna enter a flexibility of time. So I believe which maniacs created 9 to 5 working structure, that is so absurd to me, because when you look at how British they created this, okay, 8 hour work, 8 hour sleep, 8 hour family and social life, and we still have that mindset of you need to work 9 to 5, and the whole system is based on that. I think that's gonna change with AI, because like I don't think you need to be anywhere. You don't need to be time constraint. Um, so I believe like becoming an entrepreneur will be the next big shift of a lot of people, because you are not like controlled by someone. You have more flexibility. Or I believe there will be companies have this like more like a lawyer kind of structure, like partners, and everyone sort of run their departments or run their features. I call it manager of one, like a manager of one with thousands of agents, and they will live whatever they want, they will work whenever they want. But of course, it doesn't mean you work less. You still work a lot, because you find the people who love to build, and love the challenge. But I think when you look at the office, you look at the remote work, you look at like you go to an office, you're stuck in that horrible, even the air in the offices is disgusting in my opinion. They just blow air. Who knows what you're getting, right? All the food, the coffee, like versus in your beautiful home. I think so many people will reject this thing, and I think that is growing numbers. They are rejecting it.
Then I agree on your overall theory of change. For me, the advent, although I really think we're still in the floppy disk stadium of AI, and this
Hundred
will
percent,
develop like
100%.
way crazier than anybody imagines, including the two of us, is um, from your last big endeavor, a remote team, to now starting a bank. Was this something that was prior in your consciousness? Like, kind of almost when I'm there and I have the resources and the network and the track record and the access to the right people and the capital, then I want to start a bank? Or was there a specific moment where you said, hey, my next big thing is building a bank?
So you met with my wife, and when we first met, she asked me like, "What do you want to build in the future?" I said, "I want to build a bank." So I have a folder, and this is not. Give me 1 second. I want to show you something. I have. I think this is so crazy. I have a credit card collection, and I have a. This is with me. Just this is my travel ones. I think I might have 50 credit cards, even maybe more, right? I have a folder that is endless of screenshots of the problems I had with the banks. Okay, like it's just endless, like the errors, the stupid UI. So
I
I
love
was
it. Okay, but this you
working
have
with
since childhood. This is what makes
since
you the
my childhood,
successful.
and I
Yeah.
always believe that money, like I believe in the economical theory of, if you can support companies like venture capital meets a little bit bank, and you can give a lot of loans to amazing entrepreneurs and take a little bit risk, I think it will create so many companies. This is always, I believe in this, because I was always able to start a company with so little money, and I always need a lot of money, and then you go to investors. But why I can't build a system, and I built an accounting software before, why I cannot just look at the company, look at the founder, look at the industry, look at their data, and provide some kind of a between interest-based loan versus venture capital. It's not a venture debt, but something like that in the middle. I don't want to give our company future secret, but a different vehicle that I believe we can create. And when you look at the Silicon Valley, you look at the venture class. Okay, some people will say, is it beating S&P or not? That's a question, but look at the companies that created it. Like in Silicon Valley, everyone wants to create a company. There's so many $1 trillion companies. When you look at the unicorns, which is $1 billion companies, it just create an amazing system. And because it's so amazing that if you want to start, if you are little bit successful, lawyers give you free support. You get Amazon credits, you get a lot of help. Like because of the wealth generation machine it has, it also provides so many people to start. And it doesn't scale because the money is always in that area. I said, okay, we can build something in the middle that if I build a bank with insane amount of money hold it has, I can support a lot of small businesses and a lot of medium-sized businesses. And I always look at it like when you look at like who can move the industries, who can change the industries. You always like if you watch the documentary of who built America, you're gonna see J.P. Morgan give money to the railroads, right? That is sort of a venture capital kind of model, right? Because to build something, you need money, and the current banks and the startup and now AI native startups totally doesn't match. And I think when you look at the future, even the venture model is not, in my opinion, compatible to the AI model. Because if the company, like I mentioned a company recently, Polsia, uh, like the guy reached to $50 million ARR in like $10 million ARR in like 2 months or something. So like the whole venture model is need to change on these like hyper growth profit first companies. So there should be a new kind of funding mechanism that I believe I will provide to this new generation of entrepreneurs.
Okay, okay, amazing. So I think now after the preparation, getting to know each other, and in exactly like in the middle of the podcast, I think I get your theory of change. So let me just try to circle back. So if your theory of change is that remote work first, and now at the advent of AI will lead to a Cambrian explosion of many millions of new solo entrepreneurs or very small teams that can build very fast and be very profitable. This is not compatible to, let's say, the classical series A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You take a big rip like VC model. And to catalyze that explosion, you're building a new banking that's in between early stage startup and SME banking. You don't need to, unveil your secret sauce. Can you tell us, meaning me and the listeners, where are you standing in this, like, let's say, stealth phase, building, going to market with the bank? And are there some, I don't know, some special things you found out while being on that endeavor? What makes the bank
Yeah,
different?
So when you are a startup, when you start, you have to form your company, then you open a bank account, then you have a accounting, then you get a credit card, then you get a expense management, then you have like three, four more things, right? I believe 0 to 10 million or even to $0 to $100 million companies, like these can be all in one solution. And when you look at Rippling, a compound software idea, that now it's very possible to build all of these AI first. And what I believe is, I call it the day zero finance stack. Um, so you said, okay, I'm starting this idea. Let's say you're on ChatGPT or Manus or Cloud. You just say, okay, you talk, and now, okay, I want to start a company. And then, but why you start a company? Actually, to get a bank account. It's that simple, actually, right? Because that entity holds the shares, and the bank, the money, and everyone become a shareholder. So I want to give that service to all these people who are creating companies right now. So that day zero stack comes from the formation to bank account to card. I think it should be nearly instant. Like it should be nearly instant. So because we have the identity check and the formation stack, which we have right now, then it will be nearly instant to open a bank, give a credit card, um, give this accounting software in early days, and the other services in an
Okay,
instant record speed.
then I definitely, besides the podcast, want to deepen the encounter. So, and you know that, I think we both sense that. So, if they're not in a classical sense, how do you manage risk? And I give you my preliminary answer. I would say that data, writ large, not only for your banking endeavor, will become the most important asset, and move away from, okay, that's the savings, and I don't know, they have some money bank left, and they may have parents, or they may have like a whatever, like a home paid off, the mortgage paid off. So basically, with the AI first, and with this from zero one stop shop, you basically want to build transparency around all the key performance indicators that a new co has, and that is the basis of your, let's say, de-risking your lending activities, if we just speak about lending.
Yes, and I think I believe the company says four things. First, the past, which is their purchases, where they are going, right? What they are building now, and I forgot and the people they have and the market, right? So when you combine that, I believe we can create a DNA out of company. Then you can look, okay, if someone is a service company that they are doing home services, let's say, okay, and you can easily figure out the success, which company is successful and why they are successful by just looking at their transactions, in my opinion, and the change of transactions. In the past, with classical programming, this is nearly impossible. But I think with the AI, how we can find the connection, it becomes extremely easier problem to solve. There's a quote I really like. I want to share, and I think this will give me also like answer some of your questions. I heard this in a documentary. He say the I'm changing up. The founders have an ability to figure out what's a good idea, what is the idea to work on, what is an idea that or the problem that is not solved now, but the time to solving has arrived, right? I always look into that, right? So now that is even the risk. Like I don't know how many times I get flagged because I am doing a wire transfer in the airport, and because the bank doesn't have the identity, it goes through the social security public questions to understand your identity, because they just don't have a face ID. Like, it's so simple. Even in the third world countries, or you go to Turkey, the bank can call you video and they ask you your ID, and you show your ID, you touch your ID, your phone is verified, It's easier. But in US, bank needs to call you, it needs to go to 8 minute thing, and then it asks you a question: which car did you own, which home address used. Like, this information can be found online. It's crazy. It's already leaked, like, because like the Capital One hack or everyone. So I believe now with AI and the software we have, and when you build the infrastructure from this new mindset of the AI native with no UI, MCPs, LLM is your customer, people using LLM is your interface, we can build a lot of new tools that can minimize the risk in a exponentially lower way, because like we can do things that wasn't possible before, and I remember this, like now a 200 payment operations team, and the detection that the risk and fraud detection can be like, it can be 100x better now than the past.
Then, so first of all, what I love is your creativity, almost like punk-ish attitude of not accepting the status quo, and how bullish you are. And I think you should be, right? We were talking about like Revolut. When I started with Revolut, everybody told me, what a weird bank. I mean, bro, they have a serious evaluation, right?
Yeah.
So where are you standing in the banking endeavor, and can you sketch that through a Horizon 1, 2, 3 framework? So, okay, Sahin and setting up the bank now, 2 to 3 years, and then maybe like a 5 year scenario. Because I reckon, and that will be my Horizon 3, and then segueing into the last segment of the podcast, if all of that becomes very successful and you start a new bank, I mean, you should be a billionaire then, right? Which is fine, right? What next? But first the bank through Horizon 1, 2, 3 framework, and then what next?
Yeah, so the next is, as I said, the bank is for entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs, and lean team, right? So that will be the bank. And after I sold the bank, that billions of dollars I will make from this, I will spend all of my energy to reverse engineer what is a founder to feed that system. So, like, how we can find a 12-year-old person and
Mm-hmm.
just tell him, man, just ignore the world. We're going to give you whatever, let's say universal basic income, or we're going to give $5,000 to you. Come and live in this beautiful place. And in the old days of Baghdad, that the golden age, that they have thousands of scientific marble, and it was 400, 500 years ahead of Europe. I believe with AI, and because we're gonna need creative minds in the future, and we
Okay, so
cannot. So I
wait.
will just I will focus on connecting the sacred, esoteric, human development versus building a product and a services as the practice of this, and having like creating the most creative minds, because we have this stupid idea that AI is smart. And then I look at it like, can AI realize the light has 7 colors like Al Jazeera or Al Farabi did it, right? No. So when you look at this exponential findings that come through, I think, intuition, that to that person, based on his soul plan and faith plan, I just want to reverse engineer that and create then millions of people who will become entrepreneurs and build great things because of the critical thinking they have, deep thoughts they have, and someone I want someone to come up. There is 2 bacteria in Ethiopia, and we combine them, it creates a battery. Or I just saw it today in Instagram. There is a bacteria can eat this tumor or this. Or I can build this. Let's look at the bees. These are creating honey with light, actually, which was written 400 years ago. Can I create sugar with light? Let's build a new kind of machine that can create food with light, like Star Trek, right? I want to spend all the tens of billions of dollars to reverse engineer that. So it's like a health and university together.
I get that. So a very interesting flywheel. Setting up the bank. What's your realistic timeline from going to market? And I mean, you don't need to exit the bank. If the bank is wildly successful, I mean, sure, you could exit it, but you could also use it as a permanent flywheel to funnel money into your reverse engineering, the most like the many magicians you already met and those who will meet you, to teach them how to be successful entrepreneurs. But what's your timeline on that? 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years?
Let's say 2 years. Let's be fast.
Two? Oh
Two,
man,
three
I
years.
love.
Now, of course, it sounds when you look at when I look at my past, it's so crazy, like how these things happen, how uh, like chance favored prepared mind, that quote. So I always give crazy ambitious goal, and if it's 3 years, who gives a fuck, right? So I want to be like launch like the full product I want to launch by at the end of the year, and grow exponentially in like 1 year, and see what happens after.
Okay, so let's. So I'm planning a series of few select people where I'm really so curious. So we speak in 3 years. So you now have a bank either exited or it's just shuffling money into a crazy magician wizard reverse engineering the best of entrepreneurship to the best of nature university. um that's it then, or I'm just trying to figure out, because usually I end the podcast with this, like, okay, that's your moonshot, full university, full bank. I get it. um how do you tie that to your faith plan, and can you explain? Maybe that's a natural ending,
Yeah,
because
I yeah, I when I was young, I was in university in 2020, 2005. I built a future CV. Okay, and I always see myself dying by looking at the Jupiter moons. So I wanna, when I'm like 100, I wanna be in a spaceship and just go into a random place in the galaxy and like die while doing that. So because I believe we cannot go to space with that shitty rockets. Like we need to create a new energy, we need to create new system, we need to create new infrastructure, we need to create more entrepreneurship. We need, I believe, in my opinion, okay, this will, maybe you will like this, I believe whenever humans become so advanced, we get a reset. So and in many deep secret books, they say we had more than six resets. And I think we should also build systems not to get resetted again. Because I think anytime we go so big in technology, something is stopping us. And I sort of know what is it, I can't tell. But I believe this time, if there is enough people building solutions for the humanity, and we don't deal with this small shit, like I think humans can easily live 1,000 years. I think we can easily speak hundreds of languages, we can easily heal ourselves, we can easily come up with unbelievable interesting ideas that you combine all the compute in the world even can't give that, right? So we have it in the past, like we have the examples, and then we can live happily, still build the economic engine. But I think this time, to end mind slavery, we need to create builders. And I think millions and millions and millions of people need to become a builder, need to become an entrepreneur. And the world is big, but our ego and our hunger of taking the resources we need. I really believe we need to become an intergalactic species. I think we were. So my future is I definitely want to die in the space. Not Elon Musk Mars, but I want to die in the
Nah.
space. Yeah.
Then, if you allow, we
Because I
haven't
see a
touched
lot
it.
of, I see, it's easy. Like I see the world. I travel to 30, 40 countries. Like, okay, I see the world. It's good, beautiful. I love, but I want to see something different.
Then,
I,
in the preparation of the podcast, we touched upon some more personal stuff, and you mentioned the word 2 or 3 times in the podcast, a faith plan. And
Faith
I can
plan, yeah.
start. So I'm just trying to end with something very personal, that's somewhere as deep inside of you, of all of us. Some say soul, some say heart, some say source, some say God, some say creator. So what is very interesting that your life dream of dying in space is strikingly similar to a vision I received when I was 35. So I was in a spaceship looking back on, let's say, the mother planet Earth, and we were taking off. And the vision that I received in this lifetime is that we managed to heal the many wounds we inflicted on the mother organism, but we were connected to many other star systems. And that was actually the genesis then of the podcast. So in my faith plan, I reckon a little bit similar to you, I don't adhere to one faith. So, I mean, I'm tattooed with Hinduism and Buddhism and indigenous language and Shipibo and like all sorts of things. But I think at the core of it is humility, compassion, curiosity, and an unwavering commitment to develop like the best, biggest, most badass version of myself.
Yeah.
Again, whilst being humble and in service to help others achieve like bold missions. Do you mind like tying the podcast together? What's like inside of you? What's your faith plan?
Oh my, you said it so well, 100%. Yeah, 100%, right? So when I look at, uh, um, so this is what I believe. I think we, okay, this, I'm going to the crazy route category. I don't think we have control of our life. Like we didn't even select our name. We didn't even select where we got born. We didn't even select like any big major things. When you look at it, oh my God, how small chance it is that it happened, right? It's crazy. So then, but we have this illusion that we control our life. Even we think our thought is, but when you go deeper in, let's say you are, let's say you believe in Buddhism and start to meditate in the Buddhism traditions, you see like the ideas come like a pop, like hiccup, right? It just comes there. Okay, where's these ideas coming from, right? Is it you? Is it your soul, or is it something like Akasha records that is coming it, right? I think, let's say if the ideas and even the words that we are selecting is not coming from us, the way I believe is our emotions, our ego is creating a parasite, meaning like when you open the TV is bzzzt, right? So our fears, our anxiety, our worries, our, like, you name it, all the things that you have negative emotions. So you have something that is coming so pure, and that's your soul plan, faith plan, and then it touches your brain molecules, and you have the fear, you have the worry, you have the anxiety, you don't trust yourself, you don't trust the plan, and just bzzz, and then you end up doing a bad action because it actually, that action is. So I believe, the way I think is, the more as an entrepreneur they create systems to help each other and really remove ourselves from the equation, like you said, like in the service of others, build things for others, help others. You think others more than you, and I think it's somehow solves all of your problem and dissolves you from the equation. That I think you really start to get your faith plan, and you just start to trust. Because right now, I think in the last 4 or 5 years, when I look at back my life, like I said, oh my God, this is like I got introduced to Gusto through an angel investor that I have, because he was talking with the founder and I had insane exit, right? It's just one guy talking with another guy. How can I control that? It's impossible, right? So when you look back of your life, all the big critical moments, let's say critical, but I think it's every moment, but let's say critical, is not in our hands. So the only thing you can do is really believing you are always doing the right thing in the right time and in the right moment, and really don't worry about I can do this better, I can do that more, I can do now. If the more didn't come to you, it just didn't come to you. So you can just change your internal state and just really trust the plan. And I think our faith plan is always give us more than our wildest dreams, in my opinion.
Thanks, Sahin. Yeah, I've come further than I ever believed, and even though we were not speaking that much about that in this podcast, I would say the monumental undertakings I have on my plate are in a similar
Yeah,
shape and size of a
yeah.
full bank plus reverse engineering the best from, let's say, mystical traditions to entrepreneurship. Thanks, Sahin. Super grateful for the
Thank you so
podcast.
much. Thanks so much for having me.